Good morning and happy Monday to anybody who likes hearing happy Monday. I know there's a lot of you that don't, and it's okay. You can write in the comments how you feel about it. But we're here with another Marana and Oro Valley Experience live stream podcast, and I just got to cover a couple things before we get started. This last weekend, I went to the Oro Valley National Night Out, and it was an incredible event. I went there and represented 88 Crime. If some of you don't know, I'm on part of the board of directors of that. And just so many people, so many families, good spirit, a lot of cool law enforcement cars, a lot of cool technology, TEP, Walmart, Sun State, Southwest Gas, all of them were out there supporting and having a good time. And I just want to, extend my gratitude to the town of Oro Valley and the Oro Valley Police Department for making that happen, being great guides on where to park and set up our stuff. It was just awesome all the way around. It's always great when you get to work with great community partners. And community partners are very important to us. And over the last 2 years, we've started working with the Marana Unified School District to be better at connecting with our community, providing opportunities for community partners to come on shows and talk about what they're doing and explain how important their impact is and how we can support them. So one of our partners is the Play and Learn PAL Preschool and Family Resource here on Old Father and Ina, and I am grateful to have Tiffany, who works there and is part of it. She's going to explain more of her role, so I'm not going to take that all from her, but she's here with us today in studio.
I'm here.
It's awesome to have you. Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Before we get started, what is that drink?
It is an iced caramel macchiato.
Iced caramel macchiato.
Yeah, lots of sugar, a little bit of coffee.
A little bit of coffee. Do you ever do a couple extra pumps on the harder mornings?
Yes, I do. I've tried to slow it down with the coffee because I've gotten a little bit too addicted to the sugar and the caffeine. So I'm down to like once a week now, which is pretty impressive for me. Yeah,
I can't do that.
Yeah, you need it every day.
I need coffee every day.
Yeah, it's
a track meet from right up in the morning. The young ones I got. They have expectations. We got to meet those.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm drinking. Do you know who Augusto is? Augusto Coffee?
Yes. He's local, isn't he?
Yes, he is our official studio coffee sponsor, and he made us these really cool cups for all the hosts. And I'm drinking his coffee right now.
I love that.
And I'll probably have another couple cups of it. Uh-huh. It's just great. Coffee is a very important part of my life, and I like to talk about it. Now, in a healthy manner. Like, I'm not ripping cups all the way till 3 p.m., but it is it's a big part of getting things done.
It is,
here.
Isn't it? Sometimes it's that special treat that you need just to keep going.
Yeah. It's like, you ever seen those memes where people are like, when you got to go take a smoke break, but you're not a smoker?
Yes, I have.
And they eat like a cinnamon roll or something.
I saw a great one this weekend, and it was the Christmas tree treats from Little Debbie's, and the guy treated the Little Debbie pack as if it was a cigarette box. So he's pounding on it, opening it, and I thought, wow, I can relate to that. I'm not a smoker, but I sure will eat a Little Debbie Christmas treat anytime.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny you said that. So I saw that one too. It's so great. How he opens it, and then he's patting it.
Yep.
Oh, it was great.
Yep.
It's great. So, Tiffany, tell us about you first, who you are, and then we'll move into what you're doing and how you're working with the community to make it better.
Sure. So I was born and raised here in Tucson, a little bit outside of Marana, but also very familiar with the Marana community. Knew early on that I wanted to be an educator or teacher or make an impact on students and their lives.
How old were you when you started figuring that out?
It's a really great story. So my why story is always about my sister. So when I was about 14, my little sister was born. And so she and I were really close. She's my best friend now. She's absolutely an incredible human being. But at 14, 15, 16 years old, I had this little sister who was a baby, and I watched her grow and learn and mainly acquire language. And to watch how quickly that happens in like the ages of 2 to 5, 3 to 5, I was like, I got to do this. I want to be a teacher. Previously I thought I'm going to be a lawyer, and I wanted to make money and argue with people all day. I was that typical stubborn teenager. But once I spent time with her, I taught her how to write her name at 3 years old. She learned how to read, and she just brought so much joy to my life that I was like, okay, I know I want to be a teacher.
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
I'm in that window with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old right now. So
Exactly.
hearing what you're saying, one day you hear them say something, and then the next day you hear something new, and you're like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And sometimes they repeat things that you didn't think they were listening to.
Exactly. Like, wait a minute, did you just say that?
Like hillbillies. So my kids will call people hillbillies. Mainly me and my wife, but they'll. And there's been a couple times at the store, my daughter's like, "Hey, Dad, is that a hillbilly right there?" I'm like, "No, it's not."
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm fortunate I have a 2.5-year-old grandson, and he keeps me busy. And so just having that young energy of a preschooler around brings that light back into your life. I went to college. In my mind, I was going to do early childhood education. I was out at the U of A right around that time. They cut that as a program. So then I kind of deferred to elementary, went on and got my degree. And by 2002, I was working in public education, and I haven't left public education since 2002.
Wow. What were some of the first schools you worked in elementary? Were they in Tucson?
Yeah. So I started in Tucson at a small charter school called Children Reaching for the Sky. And I was there 4 years. And that was an amazing, incredible experience, being in a charter school. And then after that, I went into Tucson Unified and worked really kind of all over the district, from the west side at Oyama to the east side at Shoemaker, which was one of the schools that closed. I worked at Kelland, and then I also worked at Robison. So, in those 16 years that I was in TUSD, I was kind of a little bit all over the place, mainly teaching early childhood, like K through 2. And then, I was fortunate to be around an amazing group of people and leaders who kind of saw leadership skills in me and said to me, "Hey, have you considered being an administrator?" And I thought, no, I want to teach forever. I want to be with the kids. My goal was always to make a big impact on young people. And the thought was, well, if I can make a bigger impact on supporting and coaching teachers, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Go
So you
for
worked
it.
16 years in TUSD?
Yes.
So you might know this gentleman. Wade McCrae.
The name is familiar.
He was an administrator at a couple schools, Rockridge,
probably. Yep.
Yeah, different ones. So he's my father-in-law.
Oh, that's great.
So he was a big TUSD guy.
Yeah.
And now he's up there, and I think he's in Higley now.
Okay, so you've got education in your family.
Yes. And my wife, she's a graduate of University of Arizona. She went to Eller, and she works here at TEP. So she's doing some cool stuff. And then, there's a lot of educating folks inside of the family.
Yeah.
Raytheon, also engineers, mostly on my wife's side. And it's pretty cool to hear their stories and different things. So you're in that, and then you move to this kind of specialized environment that you're at over here at the Marana Unified School District. So can you get into what PAL does, what it stands for, and how it's helping families?
Sure. I should make sure that I give a nod to my previous district. After Tucson Unified, I did work in Tanque Verde Unified.
Oh, no kidding.
So
cool.
I was the director of student services for Tanque Verde for 6 years, and that was an incredible opportunity. I learned so much, and that was my first role as an administrator. Just amazing leadership out there with the superintendent, the principals, really student-centered, very much aligned with what we do in Marana Unified. So now here I am in Marana as my first year as the director of Exceptional Student Services. And I try to tell people that Exceptional Student Services is the program that we run for students with disabilities. Sometimes people confuse us with gifted and talented, but no, we work with the kids who have identified disabilities in the district. And PAL is one of our amazing programs. We have 3 to 5-year-olds there, and they're students who we go all the way through what's called the child find process, where we identify those students as having a disability, and then provide them with the supports and early interventions that they need, leading up into kindergarten if they qualify.
That's incredible, because that sets a foundation for the years ahead, instead of kind of just like winging it and just seeing what happens. And one thing I've noticed, I've talked to a couple folks about getting involved in a program like that if they have a child that may have some disabilities or some challenges, right? And some of them have said, like, I don't know how comfortable I feel about whether it's accepting it or just, facing the reality of it. Because it's hard, right? Like, I can't imagine how it feels to be one of those parents that's got to, face this head on and go, take it in first and accept it. But also, where do you go from there, right? Because it could be scary. It's just so much unknown. I mean, parenting already itself, there's so many
Yeah.
unknowns. You know, like when you get your first kid gets a fever,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh my
do I
gosh,
do?
what do I do, right? And it's like you're moving into all these next steps. And what I've learned from Sarah and from you and your organization and Dan Streeter as well is you help with bridging the connection to feel comfortable, to know and understand that there's help and you don't have to feel alone. So how do you make that happen for parents when they feel that way?
Yeah, and it's very real for parents when they start thinking, hey, I have this 2-year-old and maybe they're not speaking, they don't have the language that I would expect. I go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, how's their vocabulary? Can you understand them when they speak? And then they start hearing that, no, there might be something there, and your doctor wants you to, reach out to your local school district. And for us, it's really supporting parents and families through that process. That early intervention and early screening can be the most pivotal part. So oftentimes we have students who start 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and they might just need some minor support for their language. And we can provide that early intervention. And then oftentimes then they can be exited from special education services, once they've gotten that support. Now, if you have a student who has, more high needs, a little more profound disability, then, we just partner with them. We've got an amazing team there at PAL. We've got 2 school psychologists. Our 2 actually lead school psychologists for the district are actually at PAL. So they reach out to parents, they schedule the meetings, they explain to them the screening process. There's a lot of parent surveys that we complete so that we can kind of get to know who the student is. And one of the best parts is that they actually bring the students in, parents hang out, they're there for the screening process, and then we can identify, where is it that the student needs some additional support. The other great thing is if they qualify, it's fully funded. So parents don't have to pay out of pocket for those early interventions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's that funding coming from, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, it's coming from the IDEA, the Individuals with Disability Act, that really guarantees that we provide those early interventions at the federal level, and then the federal government disperses them to the states, and then the state disperses them to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. See, I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, what's your role there now? What are you
Sure.
doing at PAL?
So I am the director of exceptional student services. So I oversee special education for the whole district.
Wow, the whole district.
Yeah.
Wow, holy cow. Okay.
Yeah, and we think about. I think sometimes people don't realize you think of students with disabilities as maybe those students with disabilities that you can see, but there's so many invisible disabilities where a student might have just a speech challenge, or they might have autism, but they're quite high functioning. So across Marana, we've got 24 to 25% of our population is identified as students with disabilities. So across our district, when you think about it, it's really about 1 in 4 students who have some kind of a disability that need added intervention and support.
That is a big number.
It is. And I think people don't realize
high.
it. Yeah.
And you have to, in these schools, and the administrators and the teachers have to have resources to accommodate that. Like, you can't just wing it.
Yeah. And it's all required federal programming that we have to provide and support. We've got an incredible team. Our ESS department is, I think, one of the most amazing departments in the district. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think it was, something that was moving the needle on achievement for kids. So, yeah, my role at PAL is really just supporting Sarah Whaley. Sarah Whaley's our director. My office happens to be on that campus. We've got our whole ESS district team there with an amazing group of facilitators, coaches, people kind of in the background that you don't realize that, we have to do all this paperwork and compliance and scheduling meeting with parents, and just a really great group of people who kind of do the work so the teachers can do all the hands-on work.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize what's going on in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because we're focused on noise, whether it's coming from the TV or whatever else it is, so being able to have a perspective from you talking about, first off, the number of students that need help, that need extra help, right? Like 25% of the district. That's incredible. That's a big number.
Yeah.
So knowing that, it's like, I would say parents, regardless of if you're in that criteria or not with your student, your child, you should be involved in supporting that, because we're all part of that community. And Clint Peak, the president, and his new title is Chief Vision Officer here, he often speaks about how, he's like, I want solid folks taking care of me when I get older. And I think we all really want to see that happen. And you're talking about providing resources at the ground level to help them succeed. And then, you said something too that was really cool was they don't stay in that lane forever.
Right.
There's different avenues that are going to come up depending on their development.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really one of the things that's so important for us as community members and parents and educators, everyone to know that our students with disabilities, they are part of all the students. So when we think about all means all, we're providing everything for all of our students. So our students with disabilities are really getting what any other student gets in addition to those supports and interventions that they get through special education services.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What percentage of the parents that are in the district show up to like meetings, school governing board meetings or PTA meetings? Like, what would you say the percentage is?
It's challenging. When you think about on an individual level, we don't have a hard time getting parents to attend their students' individual meetings, especially when it comes to special education. But when you talk then on a broader term, when it comes to, getting that community and parent involvement for PTO, PTA, those kinds of things, open house, it's a hit and miss. When you start in the early ages, you get really great participation. Preschool, kindergarten, primary grades, we're getting 80-90% of parents attending and being part. Okay. As you get older, parents kind of tend to get farther away. Kids often in middle school and junior high, they don't want their parents involved, I mean, I've raised two junior high kids and they were like, Mom, don't come. And I'm like, listen, I'm involved and I'm going to stay involved. So the more we can get parental involvement, that research tells us that parental involvement makes a huge impact on student success in school and in later life. So we definitely need some added support in getting those families out and connecting. But we do have some that are, essential to the function of what we do every day. We've got a great PTO there at PAL, amazing parents who are there. We've got a trunk or treat going on this week, a trick or treat going on this week, and parents donated all the candy and are doing setup and cool things so that we can practice those language skills that our preschoolers need. So there's great stuff happening, but we definitely need more parent engagement.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go to a quick sponsorship break, and then we will be right back. Talk more about PTO and PTA, and then we're going to let Tiffany lead the way on the rest of the conversation. I know she's got some talking points. So
all right.
We'll get out of her way. All right, we'll be right back.
In Marana, community isn't just where we live, it's who we are. And at the heart of it all is the Marana Chamber of Commerce. We are building a thriving community through connected business leadership. We start the month bright and early with Marana Mornings, sparking real conversations and connections. We celebrate growing networks at our 4th Tuesday mixers, hosted in exciting spaces. We unite visionaries and leaders at Impact Marana, driving meaningful progress together. We look ahead with Marana Insights, hearing directly from regional voices about what's next for our town. And we serve, through the passion of our board of directors and ambassadors, creating a culture of belonging through service and leadership. Because of our members, we're not just doing more, we're becoming more. Together, we're shaping the future of Marana. We are the Marana Chamber of Commerce.
And we're back. That was quick.
Yes.
Tiffany's like, how long do we have? I'm like, it's not really long. But, we do have open spots for PSAs and some sponsorships if you're interested in the Marana and Oro Valley experience. You can reach out to us at contact@ltdmedia.net and we'll get you taken care of and get you in touch with our sales team, our ads team. So, back to PTO. So,
yeah.
What do PTOs do as part of their function with the school? What do they offer and how do they help? Because there's a lot of new parents that are in this area. There's a lot of young families moving in. I think the average age in Marana is 39 years old.
It's incredible. Such a young and upcoming community. It's great to see all the building and development around Marana and all the things that are happening business-wise as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our PTO, or Parent Teacher Organization, is really that organization that supports the mission of the school. So they really work in partnership and collaboration with the principal of whoever that campus is. And oftentimes they work together to say, hey, what's your need and how can we support your need? And oftentimes it is through community and family engagement events. So they tend to be those groups who lead, like Halloween events or festivals that the school might have. They also tend to do a lot of fundraising and supporting, the financial needs of the campus. And so at PAL, we have that PTO. This is their first year that they have started. And so they had been in ACT a couple years ago, but then they started back up this year. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things we're hoping that they can do and support us in is opportunities for kids to have that hands-on learning experience.
Yeah.
We know that preschoolers really do best when they're doing, they're playing. I always say their work is their play. Mm-hmm. Their play is their work is their play. That's their job. And we are trying to stay invested in music education.
Okay.
We have an absolutely incredible partner with Mr. Nature. So a lot of people in the Tucson and Marana community probably know him. He's kind of a Pima County legend. But he comes in, brings all his instruments, and leads music with our kids every Monday morning. And, it tends to be a highlight of the week. You say, hey, happy Monday. And that tends to be our happy Monday at PAL because we know that Mr. Nature's coming out and he's going to be there to make everybody happy and sing to us.
Some music.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really cool. Well, thank you for the insight. How can the audience and listeners involved with Liturgy Media and all these shows, how can we help the parent teacher organization? Can we go, hey, if you're wanting to help, come through us and we'll, give resources to the PTO? Like, is that something we can do? Because I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversations that go on with, and I'm not going to say names, but with teachers and administrators at different schools and there's always a legit need for those in-house or in-class supplies that not everybody's thinking of.
Yeah.
Right? That, they expire. Mm-hmm. They get used to the point where they can't be used anymore. And it's pretty quick. You're talking markers, crayons, pencils, different things. But it's also a support for the students that may have trouble getting that kind of stuff. Because that's another real reality.
Absolutely.
Right? That's why there's backpack events all over the city before the school year. And, I've participated in a lot of those. And you meet the families and you talk to them, and there's just a legit need for that stuff. And I think it's an ongoing thing all year, right? The kids are in school 5 days a week for a long time. And is there a way that our listeners and viewers can help out the PTO, not only at PAL, but just in general to the district?
Absolutely. So we're very fortunate that we have had a couple sponsors, realtors or business people who will come out and say, hey, we want to do something nice for your teachers. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes we really can partner with them. Sometimes it's providing lunch for our teaching staff, or during teacher appreciation, can I sponsor you and donate a couple gift cards for raffles? And it can be challenging because in my role, it's really important to me that I provide our teachers and our staff with what they need. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly in that balance. I'm very fortunate that we've got, under the direction of Dr. Streeter and our CFO, Thomas Bogart, they really focus on getting students what they need. So when it comes to those essentials, it's our job to provide it. And we do a pretty good job of that. But there's all those things that are nice to have that's going to just enrich the education of our kids. So we do have a link on our PAL website. So if you go to Marana Unified School District website and go to the PAL, there's a direct QR code and a link where people can donate directly to the PTO. They can also do tax credit donations. Those always help. You can also earmark those tax credit donations for specific causes. So if you work with your PTO or you reach out to Sarah Whaley and say, hey, what kind of special projects do you have right now? She can say, hey, here are some of the things I have going on. Do any of those interest you? So local businesses, sponsoring lunches for teachers, donating, things, or saying, hey, I want to dump some money into music education and support Mr. Nature. Yeah. Those are great ways for people to get involved and support us.
It's incredible. Thank you so much for that. Let me think of how I'm going to try to ask this, and I apologize.
Yeah.
I had it in my head, but, it just went... But it's
Monday.
I'll get there. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is Monday. Maybe I just need a little more coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
That's just probably the real problem is I can't think of it. But it's really cool to hear that you have the support and that there is, benefits to having the PTO and it's helping. And, here's the question. When is Teacher Appreciation Week? That's what it was.
Yes, Teacher Appreciation Week is usually the first week in May.
Okay.
So some campuses celebrate it at different times, but we typically look at the national week and then celebrate it that first week in May.
May?
Yeah. And it's kind of the end of the year when teachers are like, oh, I'm drowning. But yeah, I mean, Teacher Appreciation Week is great, but we also have to appreciate our teachers year round, And so oftentimes it's stuff like, hey, can we offer them a coffee bar or a meal? They really enjoy kind of getting together and that camaraderie. Everybody can bring their own lunch, but on special days when we have professional development days, oftentimes those are days when I try to say, hey, I'm going to provide breakfast or just something, even if it's caffeine, soda, snacks, treats, breakfast, those kinds of things, they lift our people up, and we've got to keep that culture positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do it whenever then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's Teacher Appreciation in May. I'm sure there's some reason behind it, but I'm having a hard time
understanding why. Yeah.
I feel like that point where you get, when you get back from the winter break and you just hit the ground running.
Yes.
I feel like week 2, 3, when you're back from the winter break is just, it's trying.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like everybody knows like, hey, we're halfway done.
Yeah.
The motivation's kind of hard, especially the students,
Absolutely.
they're like, oh, I'm on the back end of this.
Yeah. It's dark in the morning when my alarm goes off. It's winter. It's cold.
It's cold. It's hard to move a little fast. Yeah.
And then, there's the push with our teachers. We're pushing towards state testing and we're like, all right, we're going to hit the ground running. We've got first semester under our belt. Now we're really going to push our students to make sure that they can demonstrate mastery on all those skills that we've been teaching.
Yeah. So what I'm pushing here is some of our partners in business, maybe we get together and figure out something to do right when they get back in January.
Love that.
If you're interested in coming up with an idea and something we can partner in and helping out the teachers, let's do it. Reach out. You can reach out to us at contact@ltdmedia.net. So let's make that happen. Okay. I want to give you the floor. So I think it's important to have our guests really talk about things they feel that need to be brought up or they want to have them brought up. Everybody tends to do it. Yeah. Right? This is a platform for real conversation. We've started to see a lot of people try to copy kind of what we're doing and extend that longer platform, because those days of having that longer talking period or addressing things or talking about things or sharing ideas have really been condensed into 8 seconds.
Yes.
And if it's not combative in a way, or if it's not, something that angers you or, the algorithm feeds off of certain emotions.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have this here to talk about things, how they used to be talked about, right? Like we always say, it's more often than not, there's guests that sit here, cross hosts from whatever show that have different ideas and different perspectives and different beliefs. But if you were to put everything down, if you were to put the 10 most important things down on a piece of paper for everybody to write down what the most important things were, I bet you a lot of them match.
Absolutely.
If you take away all the noise,
Yeah.
right, and you put those key things down, bet you a ton of them match. And that's something else that we learned from Clint, right? You bring that up, most people are going to match. And it's true. We've seen it at work.
Yeah.
So what I would like to offer for you is to talk about, maybe stuff going on, events, maybe there's some stuff coming up you guys want people to know about. Maybe they don't know about. There might be something they need to pay attention to. So floor is yours.
Yeah. I love that idea, David, of having that conversation, of people talking. I'm fully guilty of being that generation who, watches TikTok, Facebook, but the times that we have to get in front of people and relate to them, I always break it down to just 2 words: be kind. Like, can't we just be kind to one another? And so often I think in the world today, we're not seeing that. We can't disagree without getting personally offensive, or we can't, move on to finding common ground. And I think that when you think about humanity, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to feel accepted and welcome and appreciated. And we can do that with having different voices and different opinions as well. So That's so important to me. I think I try really hard as a leader to demonstrate that to, my staff and the parents and students that I work with. So thinking about how is it that I can do better each day, I can make sure that I'm being a good human being and being kind to other people and lifting others up. I think it's easy to get in that negative mindset, oh, let me think about what I don't have or what I'm struggling with right now. But really thinking about things from a positive mindset, it works in education, in your daily life, in your spiritual life. You just have to really think about how can I put good out there in the world. And I think if more of us did that, we'd just be in such a better place than we are today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So then thinking...
Unified front. I mean,
absolutely.
Think about all the things we can get done if we're unified, as opposed to... Also, if you're in a room with all the same thinking people, that's boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And annoying.
Uh-huh. I don't want to be around people who don't challenge me or who don't, disagree
or question,
with,
right?
Yeah.
Question. It's okay to question a belief. I think we've gotten to the point where we can't even do that now, right? Like it's questioning, but like, okay, well, tell me why you believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I understand. You know, it's an enlightening if you really accept and listen.
Absolutely. That ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and say, wow, that's not how it feels to me, but I could understand what that feels like for you. I always laugh because when I was younger, I had a babysitter and she wouldn't call me by my name, Tiffany. She called me Questions because I asked so many questions. And my mom would just be like, Tiffany, you got to stop asking. And still as an adult, my 2.5-year-old grandson, his question to everything is why? How? Why? And it's like, I think we forget to think about why people do things and their motivation. And 9 times out of 10, if you seek to understand, people are doing things because they think it's what's best. Most people are not malicious or trying to make things fail or, so.
They just think it's right.
Yeah.
To them, it's the right fight or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm trying to circle back to your question about things we have coming up. We've got the holidays coming up. One of the big things that we have going on in Marana Unified is a holiday share. So we've got lots of families who need support when it comes to the holidays.
Okay.
So we've got sponsorships available where people can sponsor or just donate things. So our Family Resource Center, they go through a process of receiving applications and finding out what the need is in our community for students. So you can, do kind of like your traditional adopt a family, or you can just donate certain things. So we identify who those kids are, who the families are, and then we try to sponsor them for the holidays so that they have, the gifts for mom, dad, students. They might need a Christmas tree that, depending on what it is that they need, they really try hard to meet that need for them.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So that's a great way for people to get involved right now.
Okay. Jump on. Go check it out.
Yeah,
Get involved.
absolutely.
Make it happen. So leadership stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Who are big influential leadership consultants or authors or
absolutely
content creators, whatever because content creators now, there was somebody talking about, I went to a meeting the other day that and this kind of came up in the panel too. Remember at the panel we were at with you?
Right.
The students expressed that they having a hard time finding trusted adult information, or not adult information, but information about current events and different things. They're having a hard time finding that. And it's crazy because a couple weeks later, I go to this meeting, and it's a business meeting that deals with like the Arizona Chamber and some other stuff. And they were finding that students, younger adults and students, were looking at entrepreneurs for their information.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm an entrepreneur.
Right.
I know, but I understand, right? Like there's a limit there on your knowledge base for a lot of things. And we see a lot of stuff on social media. It's like, make 6 figures and all that bull crap and do it overnight and all that. Which, guys, I'm sorry. If you're following those folks, just unfollow them.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You got to work brick by brick by brick by brick for years and years and years. But yeah, going back to that, who do you look up to leadership-wise? What are you studying? What are you reading?
Sure. I think that's a great question. I think I kind of alluded to it before, but I've been I consider myself to be very blessed. I've led a life where I've had the right people in front of me at the right time. I had great principals, great superintendents, really great people who kind of led me along the way. One of my favorite things is Solution Tree. They're an education consultant, and I've worked very closely with Julie Schmidt. She is the author of a book called Yes, We Can, and she has a new book called All Means All, and it's really around special education and what do we do to support students with disabilities. I've also worked closely with Janelle Keating out of Solution Tree, and what she really does is focus on closing those achievement gaps. So that's been really essential for me to think about. And then really from a leadership standpoint, I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. She's got a new book right now called Strong Ground, I think is what it is. So I just started that, but really thinking about that idea of vulnerability and who you are as a leader and what you need to do to make sure that, we're going to get judged, we're going to get criticized, but we have to do what's in the best interest of kids. So that's something that's been really important to me, making sure that every decision that I make as a leader is based on that student and what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name? Renee Brown?
Yeah, Brene Brown.
Brene Brown. And
she really went viral for one of her TED Talks early on, and she talked about a quote from Roosevelt about the man in the arena. Really, that idea, you know that. So
yes.
So she leans into that real hard, and that idea that you can't really be criticizing me if you're not in the arena doing the work that I'm doing, but also thinking about your critics and giving them a seat in the audience to watch, like, hey, I want you involved in this process. And that makes me think of, collaborative learning and shared decision making. I can't do this work on my own. I have to lean on the people around me. And it's important for me not to be a top-down leader,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, leadership changes. It changes, especially with technology and everything that's available. That it changes all the time. Clint and I talk about this all the time, and he's very into the leadership. And how do you approach it with just the new generation, with the technology that's available? And how do you do it in a way that, he sent me something this weekend that I was watching from Jeff Bezos was being there, having leadership that's fast. Also, like when you talk about fast, I'm not talking about like running. I'm talking about like responsive, and how do you address needs for the students? Hey, how fast can we do it in business, or how do we do it with our team? And that's just something that's like really new, because I remember being in law enforcement before this, leadership stuff tended to be a little slow, right? There was, well, we got to talk, we got to go meet about this, and then we're going to go have another meeting, we're going to bring these guys in, and we're going to get their perspective, as opposed to going, okay, we know what the issue is. Here's rock stars in an organization that can make it happen quick.
Absolutely.
Give them some fuel to light them up and let them do it.
Absolutely. And that kind of autonomy in leadership is so important. The best leaders have always been the ones who say, Tiffany, I trust your judgment. What do you think? Run with it. And that's where you can actually get things done, and you cut through all that, kind of red tape and bureaucracy of, meetings and planning, but making sure that what we're doing is still always what's best for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about something you mentioned, David, was, like credibility when it comes to the resources and the information that we're using. Like, where are we getting our information from? I think so often now we don't realize that a lot of what we're seeing is just not real. I sent something to my son. I have a 27-year-old son, and I texted him something, and he's like, Mom, that's AI. And I'm like, oh, I have to think about things through a more critical lens, because I never would have thought it was AI.
Yeah.
So really, and that I worry about for our students. What is the information that they're getting and that we're providing them, because they're finding it on their own.
Yeah, and that's scary, and it was eye-opening to hear the students address that as one of their top concerns.
Yeah, and it's tricky in education right now, because our teachers want to provide that information, but they also, we're walking on such shaky ground right now politically. Teachers don't want to be put in a position where they're, in being accused of skewing, left or right. So they've got to make sure that they're kind of looking out for themselves. So I think we kind of tend to just not do anything and not say anything. And then there's kind of this void for our students who don't have the information.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, because, again, we're talking about not doing something, because here we have adults that cannot act like adults.
Yeah.
and again, we come to the different perspectives. So here's an idea I shared with somebody in your guys' leadership is, there's a lot of credibility and boldness.
Yeah.
And being bold and pioneering something new. And, basically it's like, you talk about your parent-teacher organizations, you talk about your community involvement. So we press that first issue, right? And I always like to share ideas on here. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Am I right? Probably not, but it's worth a shot, right? We strike out a lot, and if you want to hit a home run, you got to swing a lot. But
absolutely.
You take all these resources that are in play already with the communication, with the families and the organizations and all that, and I think it may be a good idea for school districts to create their own wire.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that they're essentially the current event provider on a large scale, district wide, to each level. Like, because here we are, we're talking about educating students on a basic level of current events, and we don't need to plague it with beliefs and opinions, right? I remember being in school, and there was this really cool little news network thing that would pop on our big box TV. Even then, right? Believe it or not, it would come on every day at the same time. We would sit there, and it was current events. And you know what they did? They said, "We'll use a ship in the Atlantic, for instance, right? This ship on, February 4th, it hit some bad weather and it sank. There was 3,000 people on board. Everybody was actually saved by a nearby ship. Period."
Yeah.
That was the news we got, right?
Was that Channel 1?
I think it might have been.
Yeah,
it was just the greatest thing ever.
It was Channel 1 in high school.
Where'd it go?
Anderson Cooper was one of the hosts. And I remember sitting every day in my first period class. And that's kind of where I got sparked for wanting to be, involved in politics or in law. And then I'll tell you, my two best teachers were probably my junior and senior year in high school. And it was my American government class and another political class. And what they did is put forth a platform for us as students to learn the information, think critically, talk about the issues. You didn't know one way or the other whether the teacher was Republican or Democratic. What they were trying to do is help you as a student think critically and decide what is it that I believe, and then come up with arguments for it. And it was just, it was an amazing class because those teachers were just constantly probing our thinking and building us as future adults, being socially conscious of what's going on around us.
And you talk about that. That's gone, because even when I went through school, the civic class was almost just another history class.
Yeah.
We covered like some small time debate stuff, but again, it's not in school. And here we are. They also brought that whole subject up as well on the panel. So you have current events they're worried about, and they're also worried about civic engagement and understanding and knowing how things work.
Right.
Like I went through the school system, and my concerns were different then. That probably would have been one of them. But when I got out of the school system, I didn't have a really good versed idea on how to just be involved with local stuff. Like let's put all the federal stuff aside, because in reality, that stuff really doesn't impact us too much.
It's the closer you get to local, the better.
Yeah, it may with school stuff, right? We have some acts that are in place and there's funding. But at the local level, like we really need to be engaged, because that's the day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
Right? It's simple as the potholes in the ground that piss people off.
Yeah.
They're tired
or the crime. You being involved in 88
yes.
crime, that's a huge impact in your local community. Are you advocating for, things to be taken care of when it comes to crime?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So getting out of high school, didn't have any, I can express that I didn't have any knowledge really on that at all.
And I think unfortunately, that's more common than not right now in our school systems.
Yeah.
Is that it's just such a hot button issue. Is how do we support our teachers to provide that information to our students? And then without crossing boundaries with families, because then families feel like, hey, I don't want you teaching my kid ideology. You know, that's my place as a parent to do.
Right. So again, we approach the district, comes up the idea, we come up with a wire. There is no ideology. It's back to the Channel 1 days, right?
Yeah.
That's all they did. And they talked about cool stuff, and there was like comic and it's just in books and it was such an easy time to get that information, right? You always knew. I remember because I was in school when September 11th happened.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to everybody that,
Yeah.
and their families. And it was a tragic day. But I was in school and we turned on that TV channel.
Yep.
And we got, we experienced it and we watched it and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And it was in a designated area. Now the kids are going to go on here and you don't even know if, half of the images and videos they're seeing are even real.
Exactly.
And it's crazy to hear that even the kids themselves at the age they're at have distrust for that stuff.
Right.
Like they go, yeah, I'm 50-50 on that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's probably a good thing that they realize, that word is getting out that, hey, not everything that you hear is reliable information. And I'll tell you, as a grown college-educated woman with a master's degree, I constantly have to check myself and go, is this a reliable source, And I think that's so unfortunate for us right now as citizens that we have to really think about what is the information I'm getting and how do I siphon out what is true, what is fact, because you can get the information from either side. And oftentimes it's like, I just want facts and information,
Yeah. And you talk about families in that realm and, certain ideologies, because each, every family's gonna be different. They're gonna have different ideologies and all that stuff. And I think this is a conversation we need to start having in the community, and I'm an advocate for it, right? I think that we need to learn some grace as well. I think it has to be part of the whole solution. Is just knowing, and having an open line of communication. Hey, this is what I was concerned about. But again, if the district doesn't give them anything to write about, we're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here's the cool thing about it is the last part of my idea is that the students are running the wire.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
The students are running the wire. Now you're getting your students who want to be in the new age media trained up on all these different ways to get out information, right? And to do it in a responsible manner, because the old legacy guys, they lost it.
Right.
They're doing everything they can to get a click, to get to whatever they can. They're struggling. They're just such these big mammoth animals that have all this weight and they got to slim down. It doesn't need to run like that anymore. So now you have like this program and this wire ran with students, parents, and the school district involved, and everybody's learning this new media trade per se on how the future goes.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how all of that would transfer onto, life skills that you get after you leave the school setting. You've got to be able to, take information in, think about it critically, problem solve. You think about like businesses around Pima County and Marana, Tucson, and what they're telling us is that the students we're producing are not giving us those skills that we need as valuable employees. And it really speaks to just what you just said, David. Kids being able to take in information, process it, agree, disagree, question, all those things that really are going to make you a great employee in the workforce. Because like we know, employers want students and people who know how to think, not just take information in and regurgitate it. That's something anybody can do.
Yeah, and guess what? There's going to be people on your team,
absolutely,
or on your board,
yes, that you disagree with.
But that's okay, because what I've learned on the board that I'm on is things really get going and get good when you have different beliefs,
absolutely,
and ideas working for the mission. Because there's always this mission line, right?
That's your bottom line. What are we here for?
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to approach it.
Absolutely.
And connections. But anyways, that's my idea for this show. This is why I was like, hey, when I get to sit down with Tiffany, we were at this event together.
Yeah.
And I already had this conversation with Dr. Streeter.
Absolutely.
I was like, hey, this is kind of something that we're thinking, will it happen? We don't know, but at least the listeners in the community can go, hey, man, I heard and saw this. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, we can dream,
We can dream, right? We do a lot of that here, right?
Yeah.
It's an idea for the future. Will it work? But I just think the kids, hearing that hunger. Because what was cool? I'll get one more thing about that panel. You know what the kids said were awesome? Everything that needed to happen with learning.
Yeah. So that was a positive. At least we're doing our job there.
That's a huge positive. Now,
absolutely.
If we get to sit and hear that, and then now we get to focus on these extra things to enrich, like you said, that's a good spot to be in.
Absolutely.
As a district.
Yeah, and those students, they were pretty incredible. They really spoke to one thing I want to touch on, David, that you mentioned was that idea of having an adult to connect to. So outside of really getting the information and the facts of what they need to know, how important it is for our kids to connect to an adult in their school community. You know, keeping kids involved in extracurricular clubs, athletics, all those things, we see, you know, the data and studies tell us that that's where students succeed, is when they've got a connection. The other cool thing is it only takes one adult to do that. So oftentimes we think about who are those kids who don't have a connection to something. You know, they're not involved. And is there an adult on campus who's reaching out to them and supporting them and really just showing that they care, you know, being somebody that they can go to?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's really, really important.
Yeah.
That's why sports are such a big
Absolutely.
thing, right? Because a lot of students play sports, but what about the students that don't play sports, right? And how do you come up with clubs and ideas, and you know, how do organizations get involved in that?
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of sports and what it does for kids and how those skills carry on later in life. You know, it tends to be those kids who are involved in athletics that know how to be team players, that know how to work for a common good. They've got that work ethic. So yeah, as much as we can do. But not every kid is an athlete. You know, if they're involved in drama or music or, you know, any kind of clubs that we have on campus, that tends to be where they're finding themselves and finding success in them, in what they want to do in the future, and kind of exploring and having a safe place to look for those ideas and areas that they're interested in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got like 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I would like for you to discuss anything else you have on your mind. I gave you my crazy wild idea, so what do you got?
I like your idea. You know, I
That's
think
easy for me to do over here, by the
Yeah.
way. I just want no, I don't. I can do that all day, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my message to parents and families and community members would be to get involved. You know, in Marana, we've got so many great opportunities, so many cool things happening on all of our campuses, district-wide. You know, Dr. Streeter's got open panels and meetings with parents. Every campus has really great opportunities. And sometimes when you're a new parent, it's not always easy. You might be out of your comfort zone, but stay involved. You know, go to those parent-teacher conferences, read the newsletters. You know, we laugh about readership of our information, but you know, one of the most important things that you can do is read the information that your school sends out to you, and then stay involved. And as your kids get older, it's really easy to be like, oh, they're old, I don't need to go to the high school, you know, conference or junior high. But really, you want to stay involved, because that tends to be when your kids are trying to pull away, and you just need to stay, you know, connected to the school and the community, make friends with other parents. You know, really, that's going to help your kids be successful.
How do parents reach out to you if they have any questions?
Sure, they can reach out to me. My email is like Tiffany, .a.hodge, HODGE, @maranausd.org. And they can also go on the Marana Unified School District website and find the Exceptional Student Services Department. And then my email is linked there under my bio, so people can email me directly. And I'd love to hear from people in the community and how we might be able to support the community as well.
Amazing. Tiffany, was this your first podcast?
This was my first podcast.
Let's give her
yes.
the applause. Come on, Shay. Let's get that sound effects going on over there for you.
Thank you so much.
No, you did great. It was a pleasure having you on here today.
Yeah, we appreciate your partnership. And I live the dream. I had my former superintendent would always tell me, you know, come into my office, hey, are you living the dream? Yep, I am living the dream.
Yeah.
Really, we've got
cool.
to.
Well, hey, we did it today.
Yes.
We got to talk about cool stuff. Hope to have you back
Absolutely.
Sometime soon. If there's anything you need from us or any message you want sent out on a show or anything like that, just reach out and let us know.
We love the
got you.
partnership, and it's great to be, you know, working with you and Clint. You guys are pretty amazing people in the Marana community.
Oh, we appreciate
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Likewise. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to Tiffany. Thank you to the Marana Unified School District and everything that they're doing here in the community. She explained how to get involved. She also gave her contact info. I would suggest that you do that. If you have something on your mind, you know, there's no such thing as a bad question or a bad idea until somebody tells you that it is.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, that was a joke. But anyways, have a good rest of the day, good rest of the week.